Welcome to Magic Beyond the Books. Today we have a special episode. We're talking about places that Harry Potter fans can visit in the muggle world. We're splitting this episode since there's so many places into two episodes. So this week we're going to be covering part one, which includes locations in London and all around England. And then next week we'll cover locations in other parts of the UK and around the world. I'm Renee.
And I'm Callan. Just a warning, there are spoilers in this episode, so be warned. So yeah, let's start with a very notable one. One of the first locations that we see, not necessarily at Hogwarts or anything like that. We get to visit platform 9 3/4.
Yeah, at King's Cross Station in London.
What'd you learn about King's Cross Station?
At the real King's Cross Station, I learned that so in the books, platform 9 and 10, there's like a wall between, and that's where they run through, and that's 9 3/4, right? But in the actual King's Cross Station in real life, 9 and 10 are separated by tracks. Did you know that?
Yeah, they're completely separate. They're not like together. So you can't. There is no like 9 3/4. There's not really like a
There's not a brick wall
a brick wall that's separating them.
I guess during filming, they actually used platforms 4 and 5. So if
Mhm.
you're a real movie buff, you like, and you want to go to the actual location, you can go to 4 and 5. But like you could go to 9 and 10, or also they have at King's Cross. They have a little like trolley in the wall on the Western Concourse where you can like take pictures.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. This episode, I did a lot of street view. I was looking at the little trolley that you can go see inside, and it's pretty cool. I mean, they have like a little Harry Potter shop.
Yeah, it's like the trolley's part of the way into the wall, right? I hear though it gets like crazy busy, so you're supposed to get there really early and there's like a line to be able to take a photo with the trolley. I did see on their website the Harry Potter shop that's in King's Cross. They said that it's styled to resemble Ollivander's Wand Emporium. And they said, and this is what their website said, it says they sell time turners, horcruxes, robes, and Hogwarts school jumpers.
Okay, that's a pretty random collection of things.
They sell horcruxes? What do you
Oh,
mean exactly?
I didn't even hear you say that. Yeah, that's pretty wild. I would not be encouraging the children or anybody for that matter, not just children, anybody to be buying horcruxes because those things are a piece of work.
Yeah, I guess they're just saying like like the cup and the tiara and all
Yeah,
that, but it's a
the
like
diadem.
interesting.
Yeah. These are replicas. These were all the replicas that were created when they were like going on the heist,
Yeah,
of
in
Gringotts.
Gringotts.
Like they're just taking all of the stuff that was overflowing out of the vault and they're just repackaging and putting it out for sale because it's not real,
Putting,
guys. Like, it's
yeah,
not
for
cursed.
muggles. Yeah, yeah.
It could definitely do some damage to Muggles for sure.
Do you know why J.K. Rowling chose for them to board a train at King's Cross?
I th- was it because that she used that to go visit her parents or something?
It does have to do with her parents, but not exactly that.
Did they meet there or something?
Yeah, so her
Okay.
parents actually met on a train to Scotland from King's Cross. So there's a little sentimental. So that's why she wanted to have the kids go there for Hogwarts.
Okay, gotcha. I would imagine that she didn't have any memories of like running into walls or anything like that. That's
I
where
don't,
the
I don't think that was part of how they met, but I don't.
platform 9 3/4 is actually not the only wizarding platform at King's Cross Station.
Okay,
There are
tell me
two
more.
more. There's 3 1/3, and that's for the
Okay.
Great Wizard Express. And then there's 7 1/2, and that is long distance service to other countries in Europe.
Hmm, that's interesting. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I'd assume they would go underwater at some point.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because also like it's hard to operate, or you have to be a really skilled wizard to be like operating across countries. So it makes more sense. Yeah, they would need some sort of transport to get them over. Next on our list of things in London specifically is the Warner Brothers studio tour, which this place looks amazing.
Yeah, this was one of the coolest places I think I've seen. Like at least from a point of view of it seems to be very maybe authentic's not the right word, but immersive.
They have a lot of stuff, and we'll get into it in a second, but it seems like you're seeing a lot because 'cause you're seeing sets, you're seeing costumes. It's right next door to the actual working film studios where the movies were made.
Yeah, so a lot of these sets were used in the film. So like that is why it feels, so immersive because you are, you're actually there. I'm showing Renee now the video of the scene where all the letters are going crazy, and then they also have like two different scenes. So like we're looking at the Privet Drive house. It has Marge blown up as a balloon. So when you walk into that set, you can see Marge blown up as a balloon. Dudley's on the floor over here, kind of just being Dudley, and then it's set up for two different scenes, like I said. So one is Marge inflating to the size of a beach ball, and or maybe like a
Exercise ball, maybe, yeah.
exercise ball, extra large beach ball or whatever. And then the other scene that's set up is the scene where all the letters are being flying around in the living room. But yeah, so like then they have like a replica of the dragon, which is really really cool. Like it's a giant replica that we're looking at here. They obviously have like the wand shop, and then they have the great hall sort of set up here with all the floating candles and the place settings and all that sort of stuff. Set up for, it looks like a Christmas feast.
Yeah, they have all the Christmas I think there's supposed to be 12 Christmas trees or something. I
Mm.
did find that a fun fact, along the walls of the Great Hall, there are gargoyles shaped like the 4 house mascots, and they're, like, holding up flaming torches. I think they're kind of in, like, the middle of the walls.
Is it these guys? So there's
Yeah, like,
a
the
raven.
eagle, and then
Is it a
I don't
snake?
I think that's a snake, maybe, I can't see that well,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it should be the eagle, snake, badger, and lion kind of along the walls, and they're
Oh yeah,
holding
this
little,
looks
like,
like it might be
torches.
like a main, maybe. I don't know. Could be. Could not be. I don't know. But yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. It got Dumbledore's office. I will say it's kind of creepy to see all of these like figurines with just like no faces. That was like it was in the Privet Drive setup too.
Yeah, it's like for the listeners, it looks like they have the actual costumes, but it's just like on a mannequin and
Yeah.
or it's like the mannequins that you see at like a clothes shop or something, and there's like no faces, it's
Yeah.
just a cloth
Department
thing,
store.
just so the people are set up with the costumes where you can see them, like a Dumbledore in his office with the costume.
I don't see, maybe it's somewhere else in the set, but I don't see Fox set up anywhere. Fun fact also, this is the only place in the world exclusively where you can buy bottled butterbeer.
Hmm.
Like real, I guess. I bet you can make your own. I'm sure there's recipes out there.
Okay. Yeah. So my husband one time bought me bottled butterbeer. Like he ordered it, had it shipped. I think it was from I must have been from here.
Wow.
And we tried it and it was not
Oh
good.
no. Oh, that's
I
that's so unfortunate.
I
Not
don't
we're not gonna
know.
say that it was bad. It wasn't bad. It was probably bad because it flew. It had to cross the big ocean,
Yeah,
right?
maybe it's better when you actually have it in person. And I guess I'm comparing it to, I've been to like Orlando's theme parks, Universal and Islands of Adventure, and they have it. And I feel like it's really, really good there. And then the bottled one I didn't like, but maybe there's something about it being bottled that,
Yeah.
in the shipping. I
Maybe
don't
just
know.
carbonation. Maybe like the carbonation, like just because it went up and down in altitude so much.
I really like the one at Universal, and
Yeah.
I was like obsessed. I wanted to have it just at home. So I did find a recipe recently that I tried that someone tried to like recreate the one specifically from Universal. And I think it does a pretty good job of getting close, if not the same pretty much to what you can get at Universal. She has a recipe for like the regular or the frozen version. I did the frozen version. So I'll share that recipe with you guys.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the frozen. I didn't have the warm, but I can just tell I would rather have it frozen.
Yeah, I did go to Universal one or Islands of Adventure once in January, and they had the warm one, which was it kind of not it just because it was like a cold day, but it's not cold that often in Florida, so I feel
Yeah,
like it's not really into what you want when you're in the hot theme park.
definitely not. I love a steaming cup of butterbeer in the summer.
Well, it's like 90 something degrees
Yeah.
Fahrenheit out. Yeah.
And then they have a picture of the Privet Drive set, like the outside, I believe, of Privet Drive. That's what it looks like. There's
Mhm.
no bars on the window, so that's I wish they would have the bars on the window.
So this was maybe
Post,
circa Philosopher's Stone or
yeah,
something.
or
Yeah.
pre, yeah, probably
Or
pre.
pre or post.
Yeah, yeah. Vernon's not getting back up there. He put him on once. He's not taking him down. And then this is Gringotts with this giant chandelier, really cool looking. And then all of the model goblins at their posts, front of Ollivanders. Yeah, no, like all the stuff here is really really cool.
Yeah, there's when I was looking on their website, so they have costumes on display, which includes the Quidditch uniforms, the Yule Ball attire, and lots more. Like we're looking through all the pictures, and they have sets, which we talked about most of them. I think they also have the Forbidden Forest. I don't think we covered that one.
Apparently, it is TripAdvisor's highest rated attraction worldwide every year since its inauguration.
Wow. I mean, yeah, it looks like there's a ton of stuff, and then there's Harry Potter fans all around the world. I did find some little fun facts, like so Dumbledore's office apparently contains 900 memory vials, which
Wow,
that's crazy,
that's
right?
pretty
900, like
crazy. Yeah.
900. And the potions classroom contains over 950 potions all lining the walls.
Oh, that's really cool.
So yeah, so these just to give you like a sense, these are really, really detailed sets. And this is where the Wizards of Baking show takes place. So that's
Oh.
the show that came out recently that the Weasley twins actors host, and they bring in bakers, and it's really cool because they'll bake their desserts with the theme of whatever it is, Dumbledore's office or the Great Hall, and then they'll present their desserts like actually on the set in this Warner Brothers studio. So it makes for a good backdrop.
Most of the tours for this place are self-guided, so they aren't. You don't go on like a guided tour. It's just like essentially just like a museum, like a Harry Potter museum, and you kind of just wander around. And apparently, this is from their website. It can take like 3.5 hours to get through the entire place. Which now that I'm looking at all of the rooms and all of the things that you can see, I could definitely see why it would take you 3+ hours. I definitely could spend 3+ hours in this place.
Yeah, yeah, especially if you explore every nook and cranny and take pictures everywhere.
So you could spend 3.5 hours there, and I might spend 3.5 hours here, just looking at all the street view sort of stuff.
Kellen's gonna do
So
a virtual 3.5 hours.
that'd be a fun time. I love street view just in general, and that sort of brings us to our next one. If you don't have anything else on,
Yeah, yeah, let's go to the next one. So
yes,
next we have the location for Grimald Place, which we know is Sirius's house apartment kind of place that they use for the Order of the Phoenix. That is in the real world that was shot at Claremont Square.
I'm pulling that up right now, but apparently it is a so in the UK they have, and I'm sure that we have in the United States that we have a similar thing where we have like grading systems of like national monuments, like preserved things that we want to, nobody can touch this. We have to preserve it for, obviously history sake.
Mhm.
But they have like a grading system. So it's like grade 1, grade 2, and they used to have a grade 3, but they I think they've eliminated that. This square is a grade 2 area or building or landmark or whatever word you want to use to describe something like that. So it's pretty
Okay,
significant.
so what does grade 2 mean? Grade
Grade
2
2
landmark?
is buildings that are of special interest. So that
Okay.
was the definition of grade 2.
So Claremont Square is the location that they use for the exterior shots of Grimmauld Place. We just to clarify. So when you're seeing the outside, like when they're about to go in, and then you're seeing like Grimmauld Place is 12, right? So 11
Mhm.
and 13 are moving. But it is actually homes 23 through 29. And the square is public, but people do live there. So we should just tell, I mean, if anyone's planning on going there, just
Be respectful of everybody. The people actually live here. But so famous residents of Claremont Square. There's not really anybody notable that I really would know. There's a couple guys. There's a couple people. There's B.S. Johnson. He
okay.
was a writer, And I gotta say, what a choice for your name, BS. You're literally writing a bunch of BS. The jokes just write themselves. And then another resident of this square was Edward Irving, a preacher, and he has a statue. Must have been pretty prominent doing
Yeah.
something.
You're such a curious person and you like learning so much. It's kind of surprising to me that you're not a Ravenclaw and that you're a Gryffindor.
I definitely could be. Maybe I'm a hat stall.
Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, but that's just me, being like, oh, maybe I am. Maybe I'm
But do
special.
you like so you honestly like, do you believe that you're a
I
Gryffindor?
don't think I'm a Gryffindor. I would definitely be a nerd. I would definitely be Ravenclaw, seeking knowledge, solving riddles to go to sleep at night. Because that's what they have
Yeah,
to do to
not
get in
me.
their
It
get in
couldn't
their
be me.
dormitory.
So if you had to rank the houses on like the most like you to the least like you.
I honestly would probably put Gryffindor. I want to say that Slytherin would be the last one. I think I would say Slytherin would be the last one. So I would probably say Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, Gryffindor, and then Slytherin. I think that is my order
Okay, that's
of
surprising.
things.
For the record, Callan by Pottermore was sorted into Gryffindor. So you're putting Gryffindor as third.
Yes, I believe so. I mean, that's how I would rank them myself. Now, maybe the Sorting Hat, knows better.
If I was doing for myself, I mean, for the record, for the quiz, I did get Gryffindor, and I do think that I'm a Gryffindor. So I would do that as my number one, and then I'd say probably Hufflepuff, or no, probably Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw. I think I'm least like a Ravenclaw.
Really? I mean,
Mm,
why'd you say
Yeah,
that?
I mean, solve a riddle to go to bed at night? I don't
Yeah,
think so.
we have to solve a
I'm
riddle to
out.
get into the common room.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah. At the end of the day, you have to be like, okay,
yeah.
after a long day of classes, it's like here, solve a riddle. Like, oh gosh.
They gotta talk to. Is it Flitwick who's the Ravenclaw?
Hmm.
Yeah, he's like, listen, one of your students is like sleeping out on the hall in the hallway. They've been sleeping out in the hallway for months.
I mean, Neville was sleeping. Neville was sleeping out in the hallway at one point. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's maybe more of a conversation to even get into. But I feel like there's just a lot of things about Gryffindor and even Hufflepuff about like loyalty and friendship that resonate for me. And then even Slytherin, like being ambitious, resonates with me
Hmm.
more than kind of like an enjoyment of learning.
Okay. Yeah, no, I am Wikipedia. Wikipedia is probably one of my top visited sites of all time. So that's definitely an indicator, if anything, of a Ravenclaw.
Should we talk about the location for Gringotts?
Yes, the Australia House, which is another grade 2 location in the
Oh, nice.
UK.
Okay. So yeah, this is the home of the Australian High Commission, which apparently is the longest continuously occupied foreign mission in London.
And for people who don't know what a high commission or a mission is, it's just an embassy. It's another word for like a embassy in a
Yeah.
foreign country.
So this, to be clear, this is the marble interior was what was used to be Gringotts Bank in the films. Like we just said, it's an embassy, so it's not really like a visitor spot like the Warner Brothers studio. So during weekdays, I think you can take pictures kind of like through the glass doors, but your access is going to be pretty limited here.
Yeah, is it still? It's still an embassy, right? Like that's
I believe
still the
so.
thing.
Yeah.
It is. You're not going to be just wanting to walk it. Like there's not really a reason to just like walk in and hang out. They're probably just like, you know, obviously they know it's a landmark. They're not going to be like, oh, get out of here immediately. But they're definitely not going to be like, okay, why are you hanging out here for hours or whatever. So if you go visit, just be in and out because this is still like a place of business.
Yeah,
Like we
try to
said,
be respectful. But
yeah.
I did find that apparently it was Gringotts was designed to try to make the goblins seem even smaller. So that's why they kind of have like the big marble columns and the raised desks and everything to like they specifically chose this as the grand scale to make the showing like this bank, the scale of the bank versus the tiny goblins.
It definitely has that like grand feel. Like this chandelier looks exactly like the one that they have on that set. You got some
Oh yeah, the
kangaroos. I believe
doors
that's an emu
on
because
the
emus are
doors.
in Australia. You know that actually there was a war against emus in Australia one time, and they were trying to like eradicate them, and the emus won. So this, I'm not lying. I'm definitely
No,
not. Yeah,
Australia is a crazy place. My husband actually lived there for a little bit. It's just wild to me.
it's actually called the Great Emu War. If you really want to Google this, because it was a Great Emu War for the emus, not necessarily for the settlers or for the soldiers. I don't know exactly the reason. Oh, it was destroying crops. So they sent a bunch of essentially just a bunch of guys out there with guns and tried to kill all these emus. But the outcome was quote minimal impact on the overall emu population. So they're a fastidious bunch. They're not going to take these soldiers coming out in their territory very lightly. They're going to bob and weave. They're going to survive.
Yeah.
So that's why this symbol of the emu is so pertinent on the Australia Foreign Embassy.
Yeah, their grand entrance, and there's kind of like an Australian flag.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have the Leadenhall Market in London, which was used for Diagon Alley's exterior shots in the like when they go to the Leaky Cauldron, that door.
Yeah. I believe it's not really featured that much, right? It's just that one shot. And then they have a one wide shot, right?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, to be clear, once they go, into the shops and things like that, that's not in the actual market. But I think it's a wide shot, and then I think that the shot of them going in the Leaky Cauldron door in the Sorcerer's Stone movie. So this place is a large covered market, and the doors of the Leaky Cauldron is 27 Grace Church Street, if you want to know. And actually, it's a storefront for an optician's office. So
What is an optician?
isn't that like your like eyes? Like an
Oh,
eye
I guess
doctor?
so.
An optician is a person qualified to make and supply eyeglasses and contact lenses for like your vision. So
Gotcha. Okay.
so next location, I don't even know how to say this. Leicester?
Ooh,
Leicester?
I think it's Leicester.
Leicester Square.
Yeah, I believe it's
That
Leicester Square.
Okay, so Leicester Square, they have actually a statue for Harry Potter. It's Harry Potter flying on his Nimbus 2000. I don't have much about this location. The statue was installed in 2009, and apparently this area is the same location where the cinema, which is called the Odeon, that's where all the Harry Potter films premiered.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that. That's something I missed about this place.
Yeah, and I think it's within walking distance of a couple like, maybe kind of low key Harry Potter places. Like maybe there's a bookstore nearby where they sell Harry Potter or whatever. Like I didn't really list all of that kind of stuff as
Hmm.
locations, but yeah, I just wanted to put this on there just more cuz there's the statue there. So I feel like that.
Yeah, I think that there are more. They did something where they made a bunch of statues of a bunch of like cultural or literary icons around London. So like there's a bunch of just not necessarily random statues. I'm sure that they have some significance to the location like you just said.
Fictional British characters. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So the next one is the reptile house at the London Zoo.
Yes, which this is where Harry does his first
Yeah.
yeah, you have a better parcel tongue.
Yeah, that's the only one I remember. I believe he says like Saya Sashi. And then there's another one that's like Saya Sieth. It was during the dueling club where like Draco throws out the snake and then Harry is trying to like coax it down from attacking anybody, but he's actually making it more wanting to attack this the guy. I can't remember who it
Yeah.
was.
He's trying to de-escalate the situation and it's
Yeah,
not
but he's
making him look
actually
good.
escalating the situation.
But this is so in the movies, the Dursleys take Dudley to go and Harry to go to the zoo for Dudley's birthday, and Harry encounters this snake that he kind of has a little chitty chat with, and that this is in the Sorcerer's Stone, Philosopher's Stone. So this is the filming location, is the reptile house at the London Zoo.
So apparently, the London Zoo opened the first reptile house in 1849. So that might be some significance. Also, the first insect house, and the first children's zoo. So they're pioneers in a lot of things. This London Zoo. Harry and that snake have some small talk talking about. It's not like just one or two lines, right? Doesn't he say, "Oh, I'm from I don't know where, but some faraway land, and I was brought here," and then they have some back and forth. So he's like sympathizing with the snake
The
a little
snake,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know how that snake comes back in the story?
I don't. Please tell me it's not. It's not Nagini, right?
Apparently, it's supposed to be Nagini, yeah.
What?
Yes.
But that would make sense. I feel like
Well, he sets Nagini Nagini free, and then but n
I would think
let's
that the snake would be created before, have been created before, because he has like created all the Horcruxes at that point, right?
Nagini is the last Horcrux. I think Nagini gets created when he's in the forest, is my understanding.
The forest
To
in
be his little sidekick.
Okay, the forest in where is it?
Albania, yeah.
Albania. So that would have meant that she made it from London to Albania. Is this some fan fiction?
No, I think J.K. Rowling confirmed this.
Really? Okay. All right. Well,
Alright, you want me to double check it?
I'm doubtful. But I mean, if she said it was, then whatever. It was, then they can use, some magic carpet ride or whatever that made it, that got her there. But I mean, that would have meant that, I mean, yeah, that seems okay, whatever. I'll accept it, if it's canon, it's canon, right? But that
Okay,
seems
maybe
pretty far
it's not.
fetched.
A quick Google search says J.K. Rowling said that it's not the same snake.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
That's what I would assume so. I mean, that would just seem too
That's a long way to travel.
yeah, especially for a snake. Um
Okay, it also says the snake at the zoo. In case you're wondering, the snake at the snake at the zoo that Harry has to chit chat with is a male snake, while Nagini's a female.
that's what you're cracking up about?
It just seemed like such a random fact.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's like, why, well, what's the point? Like, why do you even need to know that?
Yeah, why is this here? Because it's under okay, so under Google key differences, Nagini is a venomous snake, while the zoo snake is a non-venomous boa. And Nagini is a type of viper, while the zoo snake is a boa constrictor. And then finally, the gender: the snake at the zoo was a male, while Nagini is a female. When was that confirmed, though? That the snake at the zoo was a man?
I don't know, but they do use a deeper. I remember in the Sorcerer's Stone they do use a deeper voice for
Okay.
for that snake. Would you go into a reptile house like at a zoo?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been in. I feel like I've been in reptile houses at zoos. There's a animal rescue place near where I live, and they have some very small little reptile house with some snakes, and I go in there.
Well, how about this? Would you like, if there was a trainer and they were like, "Look, this snake is not going to hurt you at all. Like this, it won't hurt you." Would you let them like put a snake on you?
I don't know. I think probably no, but less about like fear and more about I don't think that's sanitary.
Yeah, snakes are icky. Yeah, no,
um,
I don't think I would. Maybe I would. I would be more comfortable with like a smaller snake that like would just like wrap itself around my like forearm or something like that. I know my wife would not let that happen. She would never. She doesn't even go at the zoo near us. She doesn't even go next to the reptile like area. Like we walk past it every time we go to the zoo, and she's like, "Nope, we're not doing that. You can take our son over to look at the reptiles, but I am not doing that."
Yeah, she's like Slytherin is the bottom of her house
Yeah.
categories.
Yeah. She puts like being a muggle in between. Being a muggle 4 and then Slytherin 5. I would rather
Yeah.
not use magic.
But back to so the reptile house of the London Zoo, I did see that it's home to 33 species of reptiles and amphibians. So this is a big reptile house as well,
Wow.
not just like your average like a couple snakes here and there.
Yeah. So it's probably got some frogs in there, some lizards, but maybe a Komodo dragon, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so if you're a person who's into care of magical creatures, this is the stop for you. All the animals. And apparently there's a plaque there for Harry Potter. I think like that has a little note that Harry Potter filmed there
So those were the like more prominent locations, I believe, just in London, right?
in
is it?
London. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there are a bunch of other spots that you can go to if you are ambitious enough to go to visit all these other places.
Yeah, if you're not just, if you're flying into or wherever you're coming from, to England and, you're willing to kind of venture outside of London and go around the country, like we kind of separated these out and these are some of the main Harry Potter places all around the rest of the country. So we can start. We're going to kind of go north to south. So as far as England goes, the first one we have is Alnwick Castle. This was used as the exterior of Hogwarts Castle in the Sorcerer's Stone in the Chamber of Secrets movies. And this is in Alnwick, Northumberland. So if you're watching the movies, this like some of the key scenes that like are burned in my memory from watching the movies are that like Oliver Wood teaching Harry about Quidditch when he has the little box open, he's showing him all the different like the quaffle and everything.
Hmm.
And then another big scene was the flying class when the first years are learning, how to fly or like basic broom handling, I guess, with Madam Hooch.
What's the thing that Neville gets sent in the mail by
Oh,
his
the
grandma?
remember all.
Yeah, the Remember All. So like Draco steals the Remember All, and then this is sort of the backdrop. This castle is the backdrop to their little flying scene.
Yeah, and I have a couple like behind the scenes facts from that flying scene if you want them.
Go for it, yeah.
I saw an interview. Apparently, when they're doing the scenes, they have all the kids lined up and, they've got their brooms and everything. And so the director says action. And then he said half the kids started actually acting, and then the other half were just like staring off into space, not paying attention. And then he had to explain to them, okay, like when I say action, that means we're starting the scene. And it was like hitting him, okay, this is what it's going to be like working with these kids, especially since most of them like had never been on a movie set before. And this scene was the first scene for a lot of the actors, that's the supporting kid actors. So, Neville and Dean, like those, not the main trio, right? They're walking on set, they have this flying class, and Neville, like for him, he's walking on to acting for the first time in his life, and it's bam, you're gonna do a stunt. We're gonna hook you up to this to this like flying thing. You're on your broom, and then we're gonna kind of like strap you into this thing and have you fly off because he's gonna, like accidentally rise up on his broom. So obviously some of that is, special effects, but some of that is actually him like up in the air. But he said he had fun with it. I saw an interview and he was saying like how it felt. It didn't feel like work.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I bet it would have been a grand old time.
but if you want to get somewhat of a similar experience to him, at the Allenwood Castle, they do free broomstick lessons.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So it's
Just kind
free, but
of.
you do get like a ticket for a time slot, and those are first come first serve basis. So you need to schedule your time slot. And you got to get there early and everything. But yeah, you can go in there to their website and get tickets and do your little broomstick training.
But yeah, so that's Alnwick Castle. And then we'll move on to Durham Cathedral, which served the purpose of Hogwarts Castle. Some of those shots in the first two movies. I believe that this was one of I believe with the car that came in, like the enchanted car at the entryway at some point in there. I'm seeing some pictures that look very familiar, like this picture of green area that they use, like when they're walking to and from classes.
Yeah, they call those. There are these little secluded walkways around. Those are called cloisters. If I'm saying that right, Cloister.
Hmm.
So those are called cloisters, and then the what's called the cloister garth is that square piece of grass in the middle of the cloister. For example, like the cloister garth was used for the scene when Ron does the eat slugs curse in
Yeah.
the Chamber of Secrets. And then yeah, like you said, like between a lot of the between classes, like there's one where they're between classes they're talking about the Sorcerer's Stone, and then Snape kind of comes up behind them. Also, there's a scene like this supposed to be in McGonagall's office in the Sorcerer's Stone when she's telling the trio that Dumbledore was gone, and then they're talking about like being worried about the Sorcerer's Stone being stolen. That was shot also at Durham Cathedral. So a lot of different things. I mean, in the first two, actually maybe even the first three movies, they did a lot more filming on location, and then as the movies went on, there's not as much. They did more on sets.
Yeah, they were able to afford the budget to create the intricate and immersive sets.
Yeah, and also for the people that are younger listening to this, like you wouldn't know or remember, but like back then too, like special effects and things weren't what they are now. So a lot of the things that were in the original movies are actually built like real live, like Aragog and the basilisk and things. Like they did some level of special effects, but they had actual like real models and real sets that they built, or they used real locations. So but I did find a fun fact. So at Durham Cathedral, there's how Filch is always kind of like moving around the castle carrying a big set of like old fashioned keys.
Yeah.
So when they filmed at Durham Cathedral, they used an actual set of like real cathedral keys for him to carry around as a prop.
Oh wow, that's pretty
So
funny.
they trusted them with that. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that is pretty cool. And they must have been really old looking keys, you know?
I'm sure, right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know when Durham Cathedral was built, but long, long, long time ago.
Yeah, I feel like there's always like in a just like maybe a high school or elementary school, like your janitor or whoever always has like a giant set of keys. Obviously, they got to get into all the doors, but
Is
yeah,
it
like
weird that he's the one that has keys when Hagrid is the keeper of the keys? But I've never see him with any keys.
yeah, yeah, he might be the keeper of the keys, but Filch is like the administrator of the keys or something like that.
Our next location is Goathland Station in North Yorkshire. Do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, that one is essentially where the train comes in, Hogsmeade Station. Really sort of just old-timey looking like train stop sort of thing. They use it for, definitely for the first movie like arriving to Hogwarts, and obviously some of the last scenes of the movie leaving Hogwarts from the train station. So, a very quaint looking picturesque sort of train station that they use.
Yeah, that's the Hogsmeade Station. And that actually, I did find the end of the movie where they're saying bye to Hagrid and they're boarding the train at the station. That was actually even though it's the last scene of the movie, that was the first scene that they shot so that's the first scene of the very first movie. First day of filming all the Harry Potter movies was at Goathland Station.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so which is I mean, it's pretty common for people behind the scenes movies. Like movies are not shot in order. It's very common for
Yeah.
them to be shot, like later scenes might be shot first or whatnot. But since this was the first day of shooting, I mean, this was the first day, like all these kids, especially the trio, like this is their first day on set, and this is our first day on a movie set for a lot of them, and there were a ton of people because you had all the kids that fill out the train, because they're all saying bye and there's like a bunch
Mhm.
of kids. So there's just a million extras and there's like all the cameras and everyone. So it must have been pretty intimidating to walk onto that as a kid that's like 9 years old.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you're all like dressed up in cloaks and ties and all of the extra things that go along with being on a set. And then you're like 10 years old too, so and that's your first day of filming, so it'd definitely be hard. But I don't remember there being that much like dialogue in those scenes, so it must have been just sort of just a nice warm up, kind of get to know the set, get to know the process a little bit.
Yeah. So, fun fact, Rupert Grint is the one that plays Ron, right? And Emma Watson plays Hermione. Both of them had never acted before, never been on a movie set, anything. And they were actually chosen before Daniel Radcliffe was chosen for Harry. So they knew that they had found their Ron and Hermione, and then their Harry was the last of the trio that they needed to cast. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, seems like they would have casted Harry, but it took them a really long time to find someone for that role.
I don't know what you would be looking for in a child, I guess. Like you have to be very like future casting where you I don't even know how you do that, you know. Takes talent. That's why they have casting directors and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. When I was watching a behind the scenes thing, you can find it on YouTube. It's like Warner Brothers put out like this behind the scenes. There's a bunch of interviews and things. They mentioned that I think they said that Rupert Grint, something about him, like he had a very unique face and facial features, and just like maybe very reactive, like big eyes and everything. And then they were saying Emma Watson really seemed like Hermione, like her personality was like Hermione.
You seem like you'd be in a library for 10 hours a day.
Maybe like overachiever in school and everything. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. And in this particular scene, so when they're in Gothland Station and they're filming that last scene of the first movie, there's a couple choices that they made in the film that they ended up scrapping later. So it's a little bit like weird and out of order. So one thing is Daniel Radcliffe, so Harry, they originally had him wearing green contact lenses because his eyes are blue, but Harry's eyes are green. Did you know
Okay.
this?
I didn't know that.
So yeah, so they originally had him wearing contact lenses, but I guess he was allergic to it, and it made his eyes were really sensitive to it. So he was like, some people show like behind the scenes pictures and stuff, and you see him like wearing sunglasses a lot. It's because his eyes were like all irritated. So his eyes got all like red and swollen, and like looked like he was tearing up. But I think it kind of worked for the scene because they're like saying bye to Hagrid and to
Yeah.
Hogwarts and stuff. So like it looks like he's like about to cry, but it's just his eyes reacting.
Of like pain instead of like it's
Yeah,
a
like they're all swollen. And then they later end up scrapping it. So like his eyes are blue and everything, but just that's why his eyes look like a little bit like red in that scene. Another thing is Hermione in the books, she has buck teeth, and that's a big like point they kind of bring up a couple of times. So originally they had Emma Watson wearing these like fake buck teeth, but I guess it
oh.
was like hard for her to talk and stuff, so they ended up taking it out. But she's wearing them in the last scene. Like you can kind of see them in the movie if you look really close.
Is that all you had for the
Yeah.
train station? Next one we have is Malham Cove in Skipton, England. It's the location where they hide right before they go to Godric's Hollow. So if you remember that scene, it's a really cool looking like rocky area when they're filming. They're at the top of this cove, and then there's like a drop off if you look further, and that's like where the cove is, and that's sort of where most of the pictures of it are. But the top of it looked really cool, like all these limestone rocks that like split in a very unique way.
Yeah, yeah. It's when like after Ron leaves in Deathly Hallows and it's Harry and Hermione up there. It's a really cool spot. I mean, it makes sense to me because if you're making a movie, you got to show that they're jumping around to different locations, so you need to kind of pick like really different looking places. But it looks like a cool place. I mean, if you're someone who likes hiking and nature and things, like this would be a good like place to go because you get the Harry Potter tie-in and you get to be outside and do all those things.
Hmm.
I did find that The Witcher and Monty Python's Holy Grail and a bunch of other movies have been filmed there.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool looking area.
Yeah,
Definitely, like Renee said, just if you're going hiking or whatever, it's definitely like a picturesque sort of place.
that's all I had for that. So next we have Hardwick Hall. That's in Chesterfield, England. This was used for Malfoy Manor, which is Draco Malfoy's house in the Deathly Hallows Part 1 movie. They used it as like the exterior. Apparently it's open every day and you can visit the building and walk around the grounds. So maybe a place to go, especially if you like kind of like historical things like that.
Hmm. It definitely all of these locations really make you appreciate the amount of location scouting that you do during a movie like this.
Yeah, especially I mean, think about it like you're given this movie and it's like, here, go find places that are really going to go find a place that's going to be a magical castle. And
Yeah.
obviously in like with most movies, you're not going to find one location that works for all the different scenes and shots that you need. So you're piecing together different locations and then you have to make them look like they're all this cohesive one place, right?
And that's sort of the challenge with they found that one castle, Alnwick Castle, right, to do
Mhm.
the broom scene at, but the when you look at like the street view of that castle, there's not really like an interior place that you can do something like that, like a scene like that at, or a scene like, just like walk around the halls or whatever. So you have to find another castle, and obviously the United Kingdom has a lot of old buildings and stuff like that around, so probably maybe not a dime a dozen, but there's a lot more of those places that you have to choose from in the UK. But yeah, it definitely makes you think about how much thought and how much effort goes into this location scouting.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, but Hardwick Hall for Malfoy Manor, I did find in the Harry Potter wiki, apparently J.K. Rowling said there was a scene that got deleted. It was going to be either in the second book, either in Chamber of Secrets or in Goblet of Fire, or two or four, where I guess she was going to have Draco Malfoy talking to Theodore Nott, which is another Hogwarts student, at his house. So she was going to have them like in the gardens of his house, just talking about, Harry Potter surviving Voldemort's attack, Dumbledore as a headmaster and not liking him. They were just going to like basically be having this little chit chat in the gardens of Draco's house. And she meant it to show the difference between Draco's grand, elaborate house and then Harry living at Privet Drive, like the stark difference of their like upbringings.
Hmm.
And it was also meant to show what Draco's like when he's talking to someone who's like an equal pure blood status and, maybe even like a little bit cleverer than him, like someone that's a little bit more of an equal versus like Crab and Goyle, right? But yeah, but I guess it just got scrapped or whatnot. But I thought that was kind of interesting.
Okay. Was it a deleted scene? Did they actually shoot that?
I don't know. I was trying to find more information, and like this was in the wiki, and they didn't really clarify like if this was a movie scene or if she was talking about putting this in the books or not. So I don't know if you guys. I don't know if this was ever shot or written or what, but I feel like it would have been cool to get a little bit more of like Malfoy's house. I guess you get like a little bit in like Deathly Hallows, but more just not like with all the deathies, like just how he lives, like his day to day. Like a peek into that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine he's doing anything very interesting, honestly.
All right, I guess I more like
I
not
meant that
even
most of
this
just like a slight at him, but you know.
more I think I'm thinking more like the setting. Like I'd like to see Draco. What is his like summers look like when he's just hanging out with Dobby and doing whatever?
I'd imagine that Dobby is trying to not hang out with him as much as possible.
Yeah.
Like I must be maybe it's like cat and mouse game, a very sadistic cat and mouse game of Draco trying to torment Dobby.
They're
You
having a
know,
little Tom and Jerry situation
yeah, yeah,
at Malfoy Manor.
a big house to have a Tom and Jerry situation. A lot of stuff to break, probably.
But yeah, that's all I had for Hardwick Hall.
Yeah, same.
So next we have, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Gloucester
I think it's Gloucester.
Gloucester Cathedral. That was used as Hogwarts Castle for movies 1, 2, and 6.
Another really cool looking place. There's so many places in this like I said, location scouting that just looks so grand and so Hogwarts like.
Yeah, yeah, they really have like the Hogwarts feel. So if you're watching the movies, some of the specific scenes, so like Harry and Ron running from the troll was shot here.
Mm.
When Harry overhears Draco and Professor Snape talking about the unbreakable vow, that was shot here. Harry and Ron, when they're splashing around on the flooded floor outside of Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. Percy taking the first years to the common room, the Gryffindor common room entrance. I guess there's a scene where McGonagall is talking to Ron and Harry and telling them to take potions. The enemies of the air, beware. Chamber of Secrets thing was shot there. So a bunch of scenes you'll see were at this cathedral. I did find that for some of the scenes, in the actual cathedral, there's a lot of stained glass it's pretty common with these
Yeah,
these
cathedral.
cathedrals, right? But obviously the stained glass depicted like religious scenes, so those had to be digitally removed for the films.
Those dang religious scenes at the cathedrals. Can't they just take them down? Harry Potter's shooting.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, the cathedral did allow the film crew to actually flood the floor for that scene where the floor is flooded. So I saw something. Apparently, there's some water damage on the floor from that, on the stone from them flooding
Oh
it.
no.
So yeah,
Oh man, they left their mark, didn't they?
yeah. But they did not let them write "Enemies of the Air Beware"
Okay, in
in
blood, yeah.
in blood or
Or
paint or
red.
whatever
Yeah,
on
red
the
something.
actual wall. I guess they, had to cover it with some protective paneling and then, do that. But yeah, that's all I had for that one.
So the next one we got is Blenheim Palace, and it is the famous tree that Snape's worst memory, his flashback, is at the tree that he got bullied at. I was thinking that
Mhm.
maybe it was also the one that when he has a flashback and he's talking to Lily, like in that
Oh,
meadow or
yeah.
whatever, but
I'm
maybe
not
not.
sure where that was. I didn't find that one. But yeah, or maybe that's a set. I'm not sure.
Not to be confusing, but this one is the whenever Snape is being bullied during his flashback at their time at Hogwarts.
With the Marauders, yeah,
Yeah.
and this is in the 5th film, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and they call this tree this is called the Echo Tree, but after Harry Potter, they call it the Harry Potter tree.
And I can see why it's called the Echo Tree. It has a giant hole in it, and it
Yeah.
does look like it could echo in there. Maybe not actually, but it has a pretty sizable hole in there. It's a very cool looking tree, big tree.
And this is on the grounds of this palace in at the bank of the Great Lake there, if you're looking for a specific
Hmm.
location. Lots of other films and TV shows have filmed there, so if you're a fan of some of these other things, this could be like a double double hit for Harry Potter, hit for your
Hmm.
other fandoms. But like Bridgerton's filmed here, Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation, James Bond, Spectre, Transformers The Last Night, 2021 Cinderella, Napoleon. I mean, I could name more. So a lot of very popular films have filmed at Blenheim Palace. Next, we have the University of Oxford, and there's a couple different locations there that they used. And just in general, so the Hogwarts Castle, the design was inspired by Oxford and Cambridge universities. Some of the exteriors, but also some interiors they used. So in the Bodleian Library, they have the Divinity School. That, I mean, if you just look at it, you'll recognize it. They used it for the Yule Ball practice, like dance practice scene,
Hmm.
and like some of the hospital scenes they used. They also used in the Bodleian Library. There's like Duke Humphrey's library. That was the scene like when Harry's under the invisibility cloak and he's going to the restricted section of the library, or even the scene where Hermione has that big book and she finally finds Nicholas Flamel. Like that was in that library. But also some other scenes like college cloisters is so this is another cloister. So we had the other one where there was some scenes like the slug scene and whatnot, but the new college one is where Malfoy gets turned into a ferret. That is the one, that tree that he's sitting in a tree, I think in the beginning, and then he hops down and gets turned into a ferret.
The special cloister, that the ferret tree.
The ferret tree. And then at Christ Church, there's a number of scenes. So like the McGonagall making her entrance in the beginning, right? And she tells the first years about the Hogwarts houses and everything before they get sorted. That's on that staircase. And that staircase leads into the two-door Great Dining Hall, which was used as inspiration for the Hogwarts Great Hall. What else? Also at Christ Church, they had that scene where Hermione shows Harry his father's Quidditch trophy that was in the Sorcerer's
Hmm.
Stone. So a number of different scenes again, around like Oxford.
Yeah, it just again like it just goes to show there's so many different locations and so many like different choices that they make to go from one location to the other. Like there must have been some reason that they chose like these specific locations to do these specific scenes at. I have to think that maybe not just for timing or something like that.
Like so on a movie, you have a director, and the director is really focused on like the creative vision and what's needed and kind of like for the art that is the movie, right? And directing the actors, that kind of thing. Then you have a first assistant director, maybe a second, then they call them like first AD. They are focused on all the scheduling. So I can't even imagine like all the scheduling to get all these kids, and kids can't shoot. Kids are really limited shooting wise. So like in a day, these kids can only shoot actually get like 4 hours of actual shooting. And then they also have to do school and they need breaks. They have to have a 15-minute break every hour. Like, so, and then the fact that they're like hopping all around England to shoot these things and beyond. I don't know. I just think about the first AD for these movies. This was like a scheduling nightmare.
Our next one is Black Park in Buckinghamshire. I think I did a good job right there.
Yeah, no, that was good.
Yeah, Buckinghamshire. Is this the Forbidden Forest? I believe maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they use this for Forbidden Forest scenes. This is a country park, which I kept seeing this term country park. Is that like a national park in the US? Is that what country park means? Like a protected uh park that the government is maintaining?
Yeah, I would assume so. Yes, it's a natural area designated for people to visit and enjoy recreation in a countryside environment. So maybe it's not a like or owned or ran by the government. Maybe I don't know. No,
Yeah, our
there it's
British listeners.
designated. It's designated. It's designated by the UK, the government of the UK. So maybe it is. Maybe it is
Okay,
like a
yeah.
national park sort of thing.
Okay, okay. But yeah, I also noticed in the movies, I think they call the Forbidden Forest like the Dark Forest or something
Oh
in some
yeah,
of them,
yeah.
which I
Or
thought
I
was
think earlier
weird.
on they do that.
Yeah, I don't understand why that was, but yeah, it's interesting that this park is called the Black Park. It still seems ominous. I think they did have a Hagrid's cabin, but I think they might have taken it down. I don't think it's still there, but yeah, that's all I had for Black Park. So next we have Privet Drive. So the actual location is 12 Picket Post Close in Winkfield, Bracknell, England. Sounds a
It's a
mouthful.
mouthful.
Yeah, so if you want to actually see like the actual Privet Drive, but obviously they have like the set version on the Warner Brothers studio tour.
So if you don't want to bother an actual person living their life,
Yeah.
then just go to the Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I did find a little fun fact. So the letters scene that they have at Privet Drive, it's funny we were talking about that earlier. So the production team printed over 10,000 envelopes to use for that scene where the letters are all
Wow.
flying around and with Harry's address on them.
Mm-hmm.
And they were made to be especially light so they could be blown about with ease. Which makes sense because I mean, if you look back at the scene, like they don't look like they're actual letters. Like
Mm-mm,
I feel
no
like you can kind of tell. Like they just look like it's a piece of
paper.
paper.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have Lecoq Village in Wiltshire, England. Yeah, these names, I'm like, I might be saying these all wrong, but Lecoq. Am I saying it? Am I saying this right? I have no idea.
I think it is.
Okay, it just feels like it's not right. There's a bunch of scenes that, again, like more Hogwarts Castle scenes, even Fantastic Beasts, Crimes of Grindelwald shot some scenes at the cloisters there.
I'm digging the cloisters. They have a lot of cloisters like
Cloisters.
everywhere around England.
Yeah, I didn't know what a cloister was before.
But now you do.
Apparently, yeah. Apparently, they're very relevant to the story.
Professor Snape's classroom in this area.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I think it's in the sacristy. That's how you
yeah.
say it.
Professor Quirrell's classroom. And then they have the Potter's house.
Yes, and then I saw the Mirror of Erised scenes also.
Ah,
In the
yeah.
Yeah, in the chapter house they had those scenes, and then when students are studying, which I guess for our British listeners, revising is the term they use for studying. Like
Huh.
they'll say like, "Oh, we're like revising," and that's how you're like reviewing, or maybe it's like homework.
Huh.
Um,
Revising. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Revising your
yeah,
memory,
yeah,
revising
I
your brain.
guess. But yeah, so that was in the chapter house. But yeah, so you're right. Lily and James Potter's house from the first movie when Hagrid's kind of telling the story and you're going to the flashback, you see that, which is actually a really pretty house. Yeah, so that's at the end of Church Street. And there's also, I think they did some other shots, like when Dumbledore and Harry are walking down the streets at night, and Horace Slughorn's
Hmm.
hiding place was on
Yeah.
Church Hill in
Yeah.
the
I just.
village of Budley Baberton.
No,
I tell you, I'm not making these names up here.
I think you're doing great.
Thanks.
Budley Baberton streets.
Budley Budley Baberton.
Budley Baberton.
That sounds like a Harry Potter name, right?
It's very alliterative too.
But yeah, but I think that's all for that village.
And then the last one we have is Seven Sisters Country Park, another country park, which we just learned is a sort of a national park. Is it where they are taken or where they come from as the port key?
I was kind of confused by this. I thought it was where they were taken, like where they're leaving, where they're hiking up the
I
hill,
think
right?
it
And they
is.
find the port key.
Yeah. Now that you say it.
But yeah, it does look very beautiful and scenic. This is another one, like if you're a nature person, I think Seven Sisters Country Park, the Black Park. I'm
Oh,
thinking.
Malum Cove.
Yeah, and Malum Cove. Those are the three that you probably want to go to if you like hiking and you want to be out in nature. Those some of the many of these other like castles and cathedrals and things have a lot of, big grounds and gardens and things to explore too.
Yeah. The this one looks really cool though. The Seven Sisters Country Park. It's like awe inspiring. Like I think the Malum Cove looks cool, right? Like it's a cool looking place. But this one looks like whoa. Like that's crazy that this even exists, you know?
Yeah, this is basically like off the English Channel. It's the south side of England, close to France, basically.
That's all for this week's episode. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share this podcast. Follow us on Instagram. Until next week, happy reading, happy listening, and may you never fall off your broom.